Hi, this is Michael Waitze, the host of the AsiaTechPodcast.com and the founder of Michael Waitze Media. Welcome back to MPC's PM Talks. Today, we are joined by an incredible group of women. All of them have gone through the certification program of the Myanmar Project Management Center. MPC provides a platform for project managers to embark on lifelong learning, develop their skills further, participate in knowledge sharing and networking, and pursue a professional certificate that fits their industry and their role in that industry. This episode's guests are quite impressive. In no particular order, we are joined today by Thandar, the Country IT Operations Manager at SGMY Bayer. Thandar is an engineer by training and has a master's degree in computer science. Khin, a business intelligence manager at Telenor. She also has a master's degree in computer science. And our final guest is Naing. Win is an assistant lecturer at the Faculty of Computer Science at the University of Information Technology in Myanmar. She received her Bachelor's degree of Science, Master's of Science degree, and a PhD from the University of Computer Studies, Yangon. As I mentioned at the top of the show, an incredibly impressive group and great role models for all of the aspiring young ladies in the audience. I would like to thank everybody for joining their first live talk. Let's get right into it. I'm really curious how you all got introduced to project management. Let's start with Thandar. Can you tell us how you got introduced to this?
Yes. Actually, I started, like you introduced, I started my career as an engineer. So after the junior role, as
Mhm.
time goes by, move to senior and all those things. So there is a responsibility to run the project operations, yeah, in the daily life. So after having the hands-on experience in several years, then my ex-manager a few years ago, he
Yeah.
introduced PMP certification to me. Pure, why not? You know a lot hands-on experience. Why not you filled in some areas that you may less experience at? So I was so interested. So he introduced me about this PMP certification. Yeah, this
So,
is how I get to know about PM. Mm.
and just a little bit of follow-up. Was PMP something that your manager was asking a lot of people to do, or was it something specific to you? Was it something that he thought was, she thought was really important at the time?
Uh, Actually, he knows about my passion, how I want to be in my next 2 to 3 years' time. I really want to climb up to the managerial or leadership role. So he told me that this is the thing, you should go for it.
I understand. Okay, Ken, how about you? How did you get introduced to project management?
Actually, nowadays we are going to move into the manager role and then leadership role, so that our organization trying to up our competency for this kind of leadership role. So they support us like the attending the PMP, so that I started learning the PMP.
Got
I
it.
start from this one. Yes.
I understand. And Win, how about you?
So, well, I will let to you, but I was a cloud senior engineer in Ooredoo. So at the time, I have 7 year experience, and I all I have to do is have to upgrade all of my IT certification at least 2 or 3 year every time. So and then I start exploring about my next 3 or 5 year roadmap. So I found a PMP certificate. So it's kind of gold certificate and recognized by the organization worldwide. So it's make me very interesting, and I try to attend this class. So after this class, it's changed my life totally.
Okay, I want to get back to, for all three of you, I actually want to get back in a couple of seconds about how it changed your life. I want to get back to the before and after. But before that, and we were kind of joking about this a little bit before we went live, and Hey, Thandar, I'll start with you, but what role does risk handling play in this? In other words, every project, everything you do has some amount of risk associated with it. How does PMP or how does risk handling come into play with this?
Okay, before PMP, when we
Right.
talk about risk, we know that, okay, there will be a risk, but let's move on. But after PMP, we really take risk, seriously into the consideration. We should take record of that. We should
Right.
well plan how we will respond to it. If planning of this response thing is failed, what will you do next?
Right.
So this kind of thing, it's even before PMB, you may notice it, but you don't practice it. But after PNB, you take things seriously.
Yeah. And Khin, how about you? What role does risk handling play?
Yeah, actually, as a technical person, we also tend to solve everything in the workaround way. Actually, electricity coming right now back.
I
So
love
that
it.
yeah, we don't normally do the risk analysis before. So we just do it in the workaround. So even though, like Ethan said, we know the risk, but just leave it. It will not matter, and
It's
then we
just
solve.
normal. It's normal.
It's normal to yes, only in the technical. But after the PMP, we do the risk analysis, and then we plan very well for the risk response, and then how to make result for the employer risk and no risk or something like that. We plan everything and then we solve in a more professional way so that we can prevent the future issue or any defect, and then also we can do better correction
Got
after
it.
the period.
I understand. And Win, how about you? How does risk handling come into play for you?
So, in answer to your question, PMB has a lot of framework, and risk is part of the major pre-work we have. Every project manager has to do. So,
Okay.
um, so you should do your homework very well before you do projects, like defining stakeholder and budgeting and communication plan, and your who will be take responsibility for all of your tasks when risk occur. So that is the pre-work that you have to do before, and when you define that, so you will life will easy and project will achieve based on your pre-work plan. Yeah.
I want to share a personal story with all three of you and maybe ask you what you think about this. When I was at Goldman Sachs, we were rebuilding the entire portfolio trading system, which meant that we had a ton of risk associated with it. Now, I had never been through a PMP program, and we were just kind of left alone to manage it the way we wanted to, but there was a ton of risk, right? Because on a daily basis, we were trading somewhere between 750 million and $1 billion worth of equities every day. And if something went wrong with the trading system, we had a problem. And I remember we used to test on the weekend and then roll out on a Monday, right? We'd roll out on Sunday, but use the new tech on Monday. And I just remember thinking, like, I felt like at some level I was operating in the dark. And one weekend, excuse me, we were testing some new technology and it just didn't work. It just did not work. And I had to make a decision on my own with no framework, not understanding this responsibility, respect, fairness, and honesty, not understanding all these four core values. And I had to just make the decision on my own and say, we're rolling back. We're not doing this. And I think if I'd had some framework to understand it, I would have had at least a better way of making that decision. Anyway, I can just see where this plays into things that I've experienced in my life. And I'm sure it plays out for things that you have experienced in your life. Is there also, and Thandar, we'll start with you on this as well. Is there an agile angle to this as well? Whether it's agile development or sort of agile decision making? Maybe you can talk about that a little bit too.
I have experience, but it is not directly affect to me, but
Tell me,
it did to my engineers,
tell me.
because yeah, that was during the relocation of new office. We are relocating from old office to another.
Absolutely.
So
A common problem, right? In other words, you take
yeah,
all the tech from one place to another
yeah.
place, the data center moves, all that stuff. Yeah.
That's true. That's true. So
Super
we
hard.
plan everything and all the. But what you need to know is when you are running a task with many party involved, for example, building management, because there will be a big lorry coming in, you need to book for the parking place and all those things. So
Absolutely.
there is also limited hours. The car can stay at the lobby and all those things. But um, when we do some dismantling works in the old office, it took longer than
Expect.
expected.
Sure.
Yeah. So we expected to finish it around 7:30 or 8 p.m.
Right.
So we book it only until 9 p.m.
Understood.
just to just to have some buffer time. But the dismantling works ends only at midnight. I think nearly midnight.
Oh, wow.
So building management is keep complaining, and then every staffs in other different teams, they all are waiting for us to complete our works. My engineers could not go back home also. So I
Right.
say, we have no choice. Tomorrow we need to set up all the things that we will reuse in the new office.
Right.
So I need to make an agile decision saying that if we can have some extended booking hours for all the teams involved, and it may be cost concern. So I just straight away get an approval from the management. So we ran for it. So for that other thing, I settle in that way. But to my engineers, they have no choice, need to stay until 3 a.m. in that morning.
But this is a management decision that you have to make, and luckily for you, you have a framework of decision making to do this, right? Yeah, that's great.
Unfortunately, to them, to my engineers. I
Exactly.
was so
Exactly.
sorry about it. Of course, I give time off after some weeks later,
Of course. Of course. There's got to be some kind of payback, right?
right?
Absolutely. And Kin, how about you? Does Agile play a role in the decisions that you make as well? And maybe you have an example too.
Yes, yes, yeah. Nowadays, now we are working with the agile work, and then while working with the agile work, we got more the customer satisfaction. For example, it's like in the uh, previous like waterfall system, we have in order to do the some development or some decision, we need to do the a lot of approval and then waiting a very long time or something
Right.
like that. Better in the example of work, we can work it in a very parallel and more collaborative way, and then also we also can the better and quick decision making so that we can get in a very fast time. We can get the product better product in a very quick time. And then also is we can also in the example we can evolve in the phase by phase so that we got the customer response and then we update and then so that finally we got the very complete, and then we can also release the early product as well as in the final we got the better result in the like the more customer satisfaction. We're going to more customer satisfaction for the example. This is how we work it in our organization.
I
Yeah,
understand.
customer satisfaction. This is
Yes,
very
yes,
important.
yes,
Very.
because we can give the first response, and then also we got the very quick time. We can give the results in a very quick time, and then we can get the better product.
And Win-Win, how about you? What role does Agile play?
So most of my projects are running into like agile environment. So it is kind of iterative, meaning where it's done into piece. So which sprint building and improving the lesson from previous sprint. So based on the results and outcome, we can improve our process and some of the risks for the next sprint. And also we can review each other issue and force everything to enhance our productivity.
Got it. I want to back up again and talk about this before and after a little bit in a little bit more detail. And maybe Thandar, we'll start with you, but do you see a tangible difference in your day-to-day life? Not maybe any specific experience, but your day-to-day professional experiences as a result of studying project management and going through the certificate program.
Um, well, yeah, it's truly different. I could see myself like a better version in planning works, all those things, like the earlier question that we tag along, risk
Right.
handling and all those things. This is one of the good example. Of course, for the daily operations or some ongoing projects, the way how I plan tasks, you know, how I assign tasks to others, how manage the cost and resources, all those things,
Right.
the decisions and the approach are getting more realistic and professional. They are, of course, there will be some assumption part that you have to prepare first, but uh, what I would like to say is, yeah, the risk is getting lesser and the decisions are getting more realistic than
Right.
ever.
And let me ask you this as well. So I remember you said earlier that your boss said to you, I recommend you take this. If you want to move into more senior management, I recommend you take this class. When you think about what you thought the impact was going to be back then, is it different than what you expected? And the next question is, would you now recommend to your reports, right, to the ladies and men that report to you, you should go through the PMP program, you should go through the MPC program because it'll change the way you approach all of your management responsibilities? Do you have people in mind that you think should do this, and have you done that already?
I have that already,
Right.
and I would like them to have more hands-on experience before going for the PMP course. It doesn't mean that their competency level is not sufficient. It is just that in our real life situations at work, you may not manage every knowledge areas that are defined in PMP content. So having hands-on experience first, it's very helpful to study PMP,
Right.
but you have to fill in the areas that you are less experienced at. So I give them a recommendation to go for PNP certification, but I told them to prepare themselves well on hands-on operation things before going too much on theory.
Yeah, in a way, I look at this like mathematics, right? Like, if you don't understand addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, you're never going to understand algebra. And if you don't
That,
understand algebra, you can't do calculus, right? And if you
that's
can't do
true.
calculus, you can't do advanced mathematics. You can send someone who's smart to an advanced mathematics
Exactly.
class, but they won't get it,
Yeah.
right?
That's right.
So
And
it's kind of
another thing is, as you know, the exam nature of PMP, it is not like you know the theory A, you apply this and then get the answer. It is
right,
not that straightforward. Yeah.
sure.
So you will have kind of time pressure, 200 questions in 240 minutes and all those things. This kind of pressures are with you. You also need to apply the PM way of thinking and then get the right answer, the most right answer. So you must well prepared for it.
I
It is
understand.
not just going to focus too much to pass the exam only.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's more complex and complicated than it seems. It's
Yeah.
what I like to call non-trivial, right? In other words, if you don't have the right level of experience, you can get sent to a class, but it won't mean anything to you unless you have sort of the life and business experience to put it into context.
Right.
Kin,
Yes.
Kin, how about you? Do you notice a before and after? In other words, after you've taken the course and after you've learned this and put it into practice, do you notice a difference for yourself as well in your day-to-day business activity?
Of course, there is a big difference, huge difference. So before, as a technical person, I'm very weak at the planning. Before talking about the changes, I want to talk about the benefit I have gained.
Tell
There
me.
is, yeah, a lot of tangible benefit like others said, we have the more job opportunities, higher salary or something like that. But apart from this kind of tangible benefit, I have gained a lot of intangible benefit in my personal life as well as the professional life, because now I see everything as a project. Passing the PMP is also a project, and then finishing my daily job is also a project.
I
So that
got
we
it.
can manage very well, and then if we plan very well, and then we can end every daily jobs in a very we got the better results output at the end of the day. Even for the personal matter, also in the professional matter, we can apply everywhere. We can apply PMP logic in everywhere. So that I would like to suggest everyone, if even though you don't interest in the project management, or don't tend to sit the PMP exam, you everyone should read the PM book at least one time. So this is a very good book. This
I
is
love I love this idea you've just introduced where you said you see everything as a project. It reminds
uh-huh.
me of when I was trading securities and I used to see everything as a trade. And I think if you're environmentally introduced to these concepts, you can't get them out of your head, right? Once you see it, you can't unknow it. And this is what you're talking about. If you just read the book, even if you don't take the whole course, which you should do, but then
Yes,
you start
yes,
thinking about everything in a project management standpoint, it's got to make you way more efficient.
yeah, yeah,
Win-win.
more professional.
Yeah, for sure. Win-win. How about you? Do you see a change pre-course and post-course as well?
Yeah, of course, it's totally changed my life as well. So previously, all of my mindset is engineering concepts, and I always thought I can able to do everything with my own experience.
Right,
But
right.
in reality, it's totally different. So you have, as a project manager, you have to do a lot of pre-work and get approval from management or every stage you have to do. So if you miss one of the most important things, that definitely will ruin your project at the end of close or execution or whatever in a stage. So after PMP course, I can able to learn how to manage my time, cost, and communication management, whatever area it include in there. So really changed my life, and I can able to communicate and contact with most of the people around my atmosphere, and it gave me a lot of experience I can never had before. So it's really great for me.
Yeah, I mean, when I think about this topic, I think about sort of sports coaches, right? We always think that the players on the field, just like whether it's developers that are working for you or people that are your juniors, they've been hired because they're good at their jobs. So they don't require, management. They don't require coaching. And yet the reality is that that coaching is so nuanced and so subtle. And if you don't do that well, then the team kind of falls apart and their KPIs and OKRs and everything else, they don't get accomplished. So I've kind of changed my mindset on this that professional sports coach or the person who's been through the project management course now has these kind of superpowers to be able to manage the team in a way that maybe they haven't been able to do that before. And I want to ask all of you this too. And this is kind of a nuanced question, right? I have three amazing women on this program, and I'm curious how women in Myanmar navigate their professional responsibilities and what impact, and I'll start with you, Thandar, but what impact does having more women in leadership positions have? What's your view on that? And you're in Singapore, so maybe you have a different view on this, but I'm just curious.
Yes. Yeah, we all notice that women empowerment is everywhere nowadays.
Feels like it.
Uh, yeah, it is good for the society. Why I say this is, even in a family, for a kid,
Tell me.
it needs to have a father and mother. The way of leadership by father and the way mother's leadership are different. I I believe everybody is agree to it. Yeah.
Fair enough.
So
Right.
father will go in his leadership style, but it doesn't mean that it is too straight and too relaxed and all those things. From mother point of view, oh, he is making too much for the kids. So from father points of view, oh, it is too micromanage. You push a lot to the kid and all those things. But the most important thing, not only in family, but everywhere, is balance. So when you have the balancing in gender, power, and management, we all are leading to a better society.
That I can definitely agree with. And Kin, what's your feeling on this? What
Yes,
impact does having more women in leadership positions have? Sorry, go ahead.
yes. Nowadays, now in Myanmar, also women are also taking their important roles in the leadership roles. So that is now uh, also even we are going to move into the leadership role. We need to fulfill ourselves with both hard skill and soft skill. So that for the soft skill, we need the management skills and then leadership skills for the leadership role. And then, like if and as I also agree on the balance. We need the balance. Feminine and then masculine has a different nature or way of work. Right? We don't. We need both. We need both nature of work in our society to improve the to build a better society. So that we also need women, and then I encourage my young women, young ladies to go up our competency to up our levels to the leadership role so that we need like this kind of project management of to study for the young ladies. I would like to encourage to build a better society and then to get the balance. Yes.
I
I
would like to comment on that. For the young lady, the most important thing for all of us is the strong will. It's not about the gender.
Yeah, I mean, I want to go to, I want to comment on this first, and then I'll go to Win-Win because I want your opinion on this too. So I have a 20-year-old daughter. One of the things that I thought about when she was born, actually before she was born, was one of the things that I wanted to instill in her was this idea of self-confidence more than almost anything else, because that strong will can get you through things that you may or may not understand. And that idea that you can bring up a young lady who turns into a young woman, who then turns into a mature woman, who just is embedded with self confidence, that strength to me was actually really important. And I like looking at my 20-year-old daughter today and seeing that. And I think that that's important for all people for sure, but all women in particular. I think it's really important. Win-Win, tell me, what do you think about how women should navigate their professional responsibilities, and what impact does having more women in leadership positions have?
So, women participation are still low in current situation. So, however, I would like to really support for all women to speak out and amplify their voice,
Got it.
and particularly for the related issue from the ground level. So, they also should have a proper roadmap or aiming for their life and should be independent and leading by themselves for other than what they want. So, and then they won't lose their right in every piece and opportunity discussion. So don't be shy in communicating and make your dream happen.
That's awesome. Okay. And I'm going to just follow up on this. I want to go through this and then I'll let you all go. This has been an incredible conversation, but I want to know, again, we'll start with you, Thandar. What kind of advice or suggestions would you give to aspiring young women about learning more about like project management and organization in general, and then excelling in the workplace in particular? They look up to you. I mean, Win-Win just said this, and I said it at the beginning too. You're all role models, incredible role models, actually. And whether you know it or not, whether you can see it in yourself, the rest of the world can see it in you. So, what kind of advice would you give to these aspiring young women?
Okay. Let me take again the PMP as a ground to advise.
Please.
As I said earlier, I have some hands-on experience in project operations.
Right.
But you know what happened when I take the PMP exam in my first attempt? I
Hmm.
was pretty confident, but I failed.
Fair enough.
Yeah, actually, this is because in real life situation, you will not know everything, or you will not run every areas in your project. For engineering, of course, invoicing, purchasing, yeah, all those things are new topics, new chapters when you start seeing it in PMP. So, although having that kind of experience, several years of experience, I would say, you may have chance to fail.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, if you fail, get up again. Take some time, go for it.
Right.
Yeah, because uh, PMP it's just an example of test in our life. Because we all know that life is always waiting for you to
Exactly.
test how passionate or how strong you are. Everybody is looking at you.
Right.
So just follow your passion. Whatever it takes, you will catch your dreams for sure one day.
Yeah, I mean, look, one of the things we talked about on the trading desk was no individual day is fatal. And the other thing is that if you win 51% of the time and fail 49% of the time, by definition, you're a winner. So that failure is not actually such a big deal. You've got to be able to teach this to people. Kim, what do you
Great
think?
example.
Kim, what do you think about this?
So for me, I think it's a strong confidence because I only have got the 3 weeks before my taking the exam, and uh, then I cannot take leave due to the workload. So that I have the strong confidence that because I have the hands-on experience more than 15 years, and then I have the background understanding about the PMP. So that, but sometimes I feel that I'm not sure I'm better now. I make myself I have a strong confidence that I will pass the PMBA exam. And then finally, with my first attempt, I passed the exam. And then I think we need a strong confidence, and then we have to emphasize on what we want. And then we must try. Whenever we don't have to give the reason, I don't have enough time or something like that. But the thing is, we can do it, and then we must do it. This is the thing we need to do. And then I would like to suggest everyone we can do everything what we want. We may fail, but we have to try.
Absolutely.
Never, yeah, never put,
Never give up. Yeah.
yeah,
And
never give up. And then, yeah, we must try.
Yeah, I mean, look,
At least,
I think the people that win the most are the people that just don't give up. I mean, I'm not better at anything than anybody I know, but the one thing I know for sure is I don't give up. Win-Win, how about you? What kind of advice or suggestions would you give to aspiring young women about learning more about PMP and excelling in the workplace?
So I would say, or we all will have a same experience when we start learning PMP course. Oh, the board is this much high and over 1,000 page, and a lot of theory have to learn. Oh, it's not possible. But when we join the MPC class and another intensive, especially train for the exam
Right.
course, so then I have 100% confidence that I can pass with one shot. So I did the same while time management planning for my learning. And on the other hand, I stay work from home. So we all can do it. So don't worry.
Okay. Look, I'm not surprised that this has been an amazing conversation. I want to thank you all for doing this tonight. And Thandar Po, Khin, Ohnmar Sway, and Win Nung, this was awesome. You were all great. Thank you again.
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
thank you very much. Thank you for the show. Thank you for letting us speak about our experience.
So for the young women, stay keep in touch with us. So whatever advice you need, stay in the trend and get communicate with all of the atmosphere around you in your professional area as well. Okay.
Good.
Thank you.